Hi Scorpio, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Nina, otherwise known as Sinfulpluto, and today we're doing your Mercury retrograde general reading. This is going to apply to Scorpio Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. If you want to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. It'll be linked down below or in the cards above as well. Okay, and before I get into anything, I just want to say very quickly that this is a general reading. It's not going to apply to everyone, so take it all with a grain of salt. Use your discernment and your critical thinking while watching this video. Take what resonates, leave the rest that doesn't, and most of all, have a good time. Enjoy yourself, sit back, relax, have a snack, drink some water. And yeah, let's get right into it. I'm using the Spacious Tarot for anyone who's interested. I'll be linking it down below if you want to check it out. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So what's going on for Scorpio, this Mercury retrograde? What's going on for Scorpio, this Mercury retrograde from February 16th all the way through March 9th? Okay. All right, so we have the Ten of Swords reversed that fell out. Okay, Ten of Swords reversed. We have the Four of Wands. We have Justice, so you could be dealing with a Libra, but this to me is just like, if it's not you dealing with a Libra, that's fine. It could just be overall balance that is needed. We have the Ten of Cups, the Ace of Swords reversed, and the Elder or King of Pentacles. At the bottom of the deck, we have, for the overall energy, the Two of Swords, and under that is the Ace of Cups. I kept on saying that while I was shuffling. So Two of Swords. So this, to me, is the overall energy for your Mercury retrograde. This, to me, reads as indecision, possibly being in denial about something, trying to ignore a certain reality of a situation, trying to run away from a reality of a situation, not wanting to face something, that sort of thing. Feeling like maybe you are stuck between a rock and a hard place. All right, so let's get started. Alrighty. Okay, so with this Ten of Swords reversed and with this Ace of Swords reversed as well, this to me kind of feels like you, Scorpio, being stuck on something. You being kind of stubborn and dragging out a situation longer than required. The Ten of Swords as well as the Ace of Swords reversed to me kind of feels like you are not thinking critically about some sort of situation. I feel as though you might be a little bit too emotionally invested, or your emotions are getting the best of you and they are clouding your judgment. I feel that with the Ten of Swords reversed, you are like very stubbornly sticking to one perspective or to a certain approach to things. And you're focusing on like all of the wrong details. You're focusing on the things that really are irrelevant. You're focusing on details that really don't matter, but you are placing a lot of importance onto them. And it's like not necessarily making sense because these details don't necessarily have the most impact. And I feel like some of you might be holding these details against other people as a means to try to win some sort of argument and so some sort of situation, trying to have some sort of like petty victory. But I feel like it's just not really making sense. It's not really helping you. And if anything, I feel like it's making you feel a lot more stuck. With this Ten of Swords reversed, this to me talks about you needing to reroute and approach things differently. But with the Ace of Swords reversed, this to me is saying how you're stuck in a certain perspective, how like you want things to go a certain way. It could also be with the Ace of Swords reversed that you are very, that you have a very sharp tongue right now, and you might just be saying shit as it comes to your mind, like not really allowing yourself to like filter through anything, and you could be really hurting people's feelings about with that. So I would be mindful of that if you are doing this. But yeah, like I said, Ten of Swords reversed, you need to reroute, you need to renavigate, you need to find a different approach to whatever situation that you're dealing with, because the way in which you are doing it right now might not be the most productive. It might not be the most helpful to you. If anything, I feel like it might be working to your detriment, and I feel like it's causing a lot more pain than it needs to. And with the Ten of Swords reversed, this to me kind of also feels like you bringing back up some sort of argument or something from the past and like bringing it back to life when it just needs to die. Like it literally needs to die off, it needs to end, but you keep on bringing it up, maybe as a way to like hurt the other person or to remind the other person how they fucked up or whatever the case is. Like it just, you keep on bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up, but you're not really making any sort of progress. It's almost like you just want to continue like bringing more pain to the situation. And I don't know if you're doing this on purpose or not. It is, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether this is done intentionally or not. The whole point is that you might be causing a lot more pain than you intended, or you might be causing a lot more pain than is necessary for the situation. And I think that it's important for you to take on a different approach, to look at things differently, and to be open to different perspectives and reflect on where you might be going wrong or how you can improve on the situation or what you can do to better the situation, and ask yourself if you actually want the situation to better itself, or do you just want to continue kind of causing further pain or make things worse, you know? And this isn't to say that like you're a bad person or whatever the case may be, but you know, people, it's like people do that. We can be petty when we want to. We end up doing things that, you know, normally we would disagree with, but we find ourselves in these situations nonetheless. So just, you know, keep that in mind. I'm not like trying to like point the finger or anything. But if you are finding yourself in a situation where you might be causing more pain than any sort of like improvement, you know, be mindful of that, bring awareness upon that, and ask yourself what you can do to better the situation. What can you do to renavigate? What different approaches can you take? What different mindsets can you take? What different perspectives can you look, you know, like put yourself in other people's shoes and that sort of thing, so that you're not just stuck on a very specific thing, or like have that sort of tunnel vision on how this person perhaps maybe has hurt you in the past or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? Opened your mind rather than like having that sort of laser vision on like that one thing, you know. Try to like focus on different or other details. Now, this might be related to something with the family or with the home or with certain relationships in your life, as seen with this Four of Wands. This also talks about comfortability. This talks about stability and familiarity. So this to me can kind of read as like being stuck in certain habits or like certain things that are familiar. It could also talk to me about how there might need to be some sort of change in terms of like your environment, how there might need to be some sort of change in like family dynamics, or how you approach things with family, with your relationships, or with like your roommates, for example, whatever the case might be. I also feel with this Four of Wands, this gives me like a feeling of like needing to come together, and like I keep on imagining like having like an intervention or something, like having some sort of like adult intervention where everyone is like gathered to like the living room table or whatever, the dining room table, and everything is like laid out on the table, and you know, everyone, like everything is just open to discussion, and everyone just like having an adult conversation as to the situation at hand, and everyone is like brainstorming ways of how to improve the situation, how to better the situation, how to approach things, how to adjust, and basically like not only sharing one's feelings and all of that, but finding productive ways to handle everything like adults. So that's kind of what the Four of Wands to me feels like. And with this Justice card, this to me talks about being aware of the ripple effect, being aware of the long-term consequences of one's actions, behaviors, thoughts, or even inactions, that sort of thing. Being aware of like taking into consideration how you might be affecting other people. What are the causes and effects of your actions or your inactions, your thoughts, beliefs, and so on and so forth. And what can you do to find a middle ground? What can you do to find a sense of moderation, a sense of balance within whatever dynamic that you're in, whatever dynamic that you are dealing with, whatever situation that you're dealing with, right? And I feel that with this 10 of Cups, again, this feels like a family thing. This feels like this might be something that involves people that you're very familiar with, but I feel that by using this Justice card and not only like taking into consideration the causes and effects of certain actions or inactions, but also looking to find the gray area, looking to find the nuance and everything, you create a stronger sense of harmony and balance and moderation within whatever dynamic this is. And I feel like that's what the 10 of Cups really talks about, is like, it's so interesting because I really feel that with this 10 of Cups, it further confirms my like whole thing of like having that intervention and like everyone just like pouring out their emotions and like merging them and just finding ways to properly adjust and finding ways to adapt and finding ways to improve upon the situation, to handle it a lot in a much more healthy way rather than everything like being super muddled. I feel as though everyone needs to have an opportunity to speak their truth and for everyone to listen without the desire to immediately respond, but listen just to listen and listen to be compassionate and like be compassionate to what other people's feelings and like validate that, and like after that finding ways to properly handle everything and approach things differently and that sort of thing. You know, again, with the Ace of Swords reverse, this to me talks about needing to take on a different perspective, Scorpio, and not being so closed-minded to how you personally feel. But again, putting yourself in other people's shoes, being open to different ways of viewing the situation rather than like very stubbornly looking at things this way and like perhaps pointing the finger at me like, no, you hurt me, you did this to me, it's all your fault, da-da-da-da-da, right? No, be open to finding the nuance of things. Not everything is super black and white. Not everything is this or that. You know, there is nuance to everything. There's always a gray area to situations. And I think that's very important to take into consideration with this Mercury retrograde, is finding the gray area and figuring out what you can do with that. What can you do with the nuance? What can you do with this whole situation? And with the King of Pentacles, we have here learning, I think, to build a stronger foundation with whoever it is that you're dealing with. What can you bring to the table? What can you provide to this dynamic, to the situation that can better it in some sort of way? That can make it feel more solid, that can make it feel more stable. That's kind of like what this Elder of Pentacles feels like, that this King of Pentacles feels like. And I also feel with this King of Pentacles, this just talks about an overall sense of maturity and being grounded throughout this entire situation rather than kind of like making up hypothetical situations or hypothetical scenarios and thinking that that is the truth. I feel that it's important to be grounded, to be present throughout this entire thing and not get so caught up in one's emotions or irrational thinking or whatever have you. I think that's very important during this retrograde, is like not letting emotions cloud our judgment. So yeah, I feel that in general, I feel that there are certain truths that will come to light with this retrograde. And I think that a big theme for you, especially with this Two of Swords here, is learning how to face that reality and not deny the role that not only the other person plays, but the role that you play in certain situations, and how perhaps how you can better handle situations, how to improve upon these situations, how to approach things a little bit more maturely or whatever have you, you know? I think reflecting on that during this retrograde is going to be really helpful and really productive. And I think it's going to help to see things a lot more objectively and without bias, and ultimately help to solve certain issues that you might be facing during the retrograde. So with that being said, Scorpio, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you were able to get something out of this. Let me know your feedback in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up, share with your friends, family, loved ones, or anyone else who needs to hear this message. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to know when I upload my videos. If you want to book a personal reading with me, like I said, you can do so at sinfulpluto.com. And if you want to find me on social media, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Sinfulpluto. So with that being said, I'll talk to you later. Yeah, bye.